I am a member of the Klingon Language Institute. That was kind of a foregone conclusion. I went to my first Kepa in 2015, so about a year after my EP release, and I haven't missed a Kepa since. It's my favorite place. It's like nerd family reunion every year, and they just welcomed me in. Even with that first EP, when I was working with other translators at that point, like I was working with members of the KLI, they had sent me translations of songs that they had already translated. So that was probably like one of the cool things, was like that first EP were all songs people had already translated years before in some cases, and I just kind of collected them and then was like, do you mind if I record these? And they were like, go for it. And so then, but when it came time to do the next EP, I had ideas about songs I wanted to do. And at that point, then I had established a level of credibility with the Klingon language community that I would do the language justice musically, vocally, and that I cared about singing it properly as well. And so I was able to ask people for specific songs. I was like, hey, I would really like to do this song. Would anybody be interested in translating it? And people jumped on it. And then by my third EP at that point, 2016 to 2017 was when I started really studying. Starting around 2017 is when I started being comfortable enough to start translating my own songs. And so my third EP, a lot of the songs on there were translated by me. And then fourth and fifth EPs were all translated by me, which was really, really
cool. Wow. And I'm just curious, like, what's the process of translating some of these songs? And is it quite difficult, or is there, how much work I'll just take, for example, like, say the Frozen song. Like, yeah.
Which I didn't do. So I can't lay claim to that one. That was translated by Felix Malmenbach. Felix actually is responsible for a lot of the heavy lifting with the Duolingo app, actually.
Right. Okay.
The Duolingo app, like it's so funny listening to the Duolingo app, like when it's like, listen to the phrase or like, which is the correct one, because I recognize so many of the voices because it's all like KLI members. But that song was translated by Felix. So I can't speak to what his process is there. But with mine, it's really interesting because it's so song dependent. Like, I really like doing pop songs. Like, I've had people ask if I would translate or do originals or whatever. And I'm always like, no, probably not. And I really like doing covers because they're recognizable. So it makes it more accessible to people beyond being Star Trek fans. Like, I can walk into any convention. It doesn't matter. And they're going to recognize Don't Stop Believin'. They're going to recognize, people are going to recognize No Scrubs. They're going to recognize, these songs are going to be, and so I really like doing that. And also I really love translating songs because once you get the chorus, you've got like half the song translated already. So there's like a little bit of the barrier to entry is a little bit easier with them as well, because typically the grammar's kind of simple, the concepts are kind of simple when it comes to pop music. Like, that's sort of that's just pop music. So for me, it's really interesting because I have the songs that I wanted to translate, I was like, oh, this would be such a good song in Klingon for whatever reason, like Die Young by Kesha, whatever, kind of makes sense. But then when I started doing stuff for my annual charity event that I've been doing for the last, this is year 11, and letting people pick the songs for me to translate, that's when stuff started to get really, really interesting. Because it's like, how do you take Cyndi Lauper's Time After Time and make that song applicable to Klingons? Because I don't like necessarily doing word for word translations. I want it to make cultural sense to Klingons. So that song was one of the few songs where I actually didn't translate the chorus right away because I had to figure out what the song was about before I could figure out what the chorus
Okay.
was, because there was not a grammatically good way to say time after time. So that song literally translates the phrase instead is vibcha tikwij, which means my heart travels back in time.